Fantastic. So from what I could see, there's a lot of commonality there between what you want to do in your country as a Korean energy agency, and of course what we are trying to do here as well. So today I have the dubious honor of trying to wear 3 hats as one, maybe 4 if you can't MC, but we decided to try and condense our presentations just so that we have enough time for a dialogue at the end. So my humble presentation today here, I will try to focus a little bit on how Namibia can play a valuable role for companies or at least countries such as yourselves that are looking to go through an energy transition that is economically viable and of course responsive to the needs for combating climate change. And at the same time, of course, staying true to our own needs to industrialize as a country as well. So Margaret has touched on this particular slide. As you can see from that slide, really, Namibia offers a lot in terms of conversations when you want to really go through a just energy transition. At the same time, build new green industries and maintain sustainable industry advantages across the world. So of course, the minister has touched on the fact that we do have some oil and gas assets here that we will be looking to explore. But really, once you start combining those two in the middle, the clean molecules, and people really talk a lot about green hydrogen, but for us, we know that's the departure, it's not the end. So the synthetic fuels and of course the renewable energy that enable those, we think, are a very, very important part of the conversation. And then of course, Margaret did mention our uranium assets, and it was very interesting to see that the Korean Energy Agency itself was talking about the use of biomass in the energy ecosystem. Namibia has a very large base of invader bush, which we're looking to sustainably, of course, harvest and use that for electricity generation. But keep an eye on this as well. We do think it could be a very sustainable source of carbon, which of course, when you mix with the synthetic fuel, with the clean molecules, you can make more complex synthetic fuels like e-kerosene. Of course, these slides will be available to all of our guests and our media as well. So I won't go too much into detail with some of these, but it's suffice to say that one of the reasons Namibia is emerging as a global leader for clean molecule production is the fact that you have co-located top class wind energy and of course solar energy. And so we're looking to develop a regional asset there in the southern part of Namibia. Later on, we will be exploring in the Kunene and of course in the Commerce region as well, the potential to use this co-located renewable energy to produce clean molecules in Namibia. It's very important when people think about Namibia as an attractive investment destination from an energy perspective that we remind our investors that indeed, as Margaret mentioned, you will not just be looking to serve the 2.5 million people in Namibia, and of course, people typically associate that with the logistics front. But from an energy perspective as well, Namibia has positioned itself really to trade with our peers certainly in the Southern African power pool. We currently import about 60 to 70% of our energy from that power pool, but as we look to harness that renewable energy potential, but potentially as well, some of the hydrocarbons, we're of course exploring an asset called Kudu. We would like to explore beginning to actually export some of that energy sources from Namibia into, of course, the Southern African power pool, which, if we're frank, is an energy insecure region. If you look at, of course, what our brothers and sisters are experiencing in South Africa from a load shedding perspective, and of course, our Zambian, Zimbabwean assets are, of course, very hydro reliant, which, of course, is impacted by climate change. Namibia's largest energy generators, of course, Rokana, which, of course, also relies on hydroelectricity and will be impacted by climate change. We have put here some stats for you in terms of what we have been able to remunerate our IPPs. I can't say that at the moment as a ministry, from the Ministry of Mines and Energy, we are working hard at looking at how we can facilitate and accelerate the deployment of almost 300 megawatts to see whether we can become energy self-secure in the near future. And of course, we would welcome investors from South Korea to help us on that journey. In terms of hydrogen, this slide really just shows that Namibia could be a very low-cost producer for the reasons I have given before. One of the things we have done in Namibia quite deliberately is worked extremely hard to understand the global demand for these molecules. And on this slide, we're just trying to show you that we understand, of course, that while Europe is a very big demand center, China will be self-sufficient, and so would be the US. We do appreciate that South Korea and Japan in particular would be key potential importers. And so we are looking at South Korea for a couple of reasons. One is a potential consumer of those molecules, but just as we heard from our special envoy, as a very key player in the intellectual property that is required to actually deploy these molecules in a sustainable way. And I think our special energy envoy here did say that in fact he has a few lessons to share with us in our pursuit of building a local and of course export-oriented green hydrogen asset, and we're very keen to listen. This is us really just illustrating that we have organized ourselves here in Namibia when it comes to the development of green hydrogen. We are looking to put in place a structure under the Ministry of Mines and Energy. It is a donor-funded office that will be looking to coordinate and orchestrate the programmatic procurement of hydrogen projects here in Namibia. In fact, we'll be starting this recruitment drive later this week, and we'll be looking to talk to you more and more as we fill out these positions, but really as we put out potential future sites of hydrogen opportunities in Namibia. So all of this energy is of course useful and very important as an element to build products and industries. Namibia is of course also very well endowed with the necessary minerals for industrialization as well. We've mentioned this quite a few here, whether it is of course indeed lithium. We'll be hearing from Andrada later on. We do some copper smelting. We are one of the largest exporters of uranium. But I think what is really important from a messaging perspective from the Namibian government is, yes, we do have quite a detailed electronic cadastre of all of these opportunities across the country. And we're very blessed today to be joined by our Deputy Executive Director, Mr. Rasmus Shibolo, who of course after the session would be available for questions and answers in terms of where do all of these opportunities exist, which EPLs are available, what are the JV opportunities that present themselves given these realities, and of course, what are the opportunities to invest in even assets that are already beginning to mine and produce these various minerals. I think one of the key messages from the Namibian government, and the next two slides speak to that, is while we have all of these minerals, what we're really, of course, trying to champion here in Namibia as well is avenues to add value to those minerals here at home. South Korea is one of 14 members of the Mineral Security Partnership, and I think this has been touched upon by our Special Energy Envoy's delivery, to note that the globe is looking to diversify the source of a lot of these key ingredients for this just energy transition. And to do that, you will need to develop and build some of these smelters, refineries, etc. And Namibia is looking to position itself as a good country to host those assets, and given that, of course, we don't just have minerals at home, but we're neighbors with other mineral-rich countries such as Zambia, the DRC, South Africa, and of course Zimbabwe as well. And so of course we do have a mineral beneficiation strategy, which is of course championed by our Ministry of Mines and Energy. And very importantly as well, this year, on the 7th of June 2023, our cabinet took an extremely strategic decision which said, look, we would not like to be exporting these minerals without adding value to them here at home. And of course, not all of them will be smelters from day one, but certainly opportunities to add value to things like lithium should be explored at home if at all possible. And of course, we are looking forward to Andrada talking to those opportunities. It's very important to note that even though we want to do this, we need to recognize that specific infrastructure needs to be deployed to make that possible. So whether that is desalination plants, investments in logistics assets such as rail and ports. We would love to work together with our Korean investors and our Korean government to try and make sure that those infrastructures exist in order to facilitate that policy objective. This particular slide tries to show how the Namibian government has worked with other international agencies and countries. In this particular instance, we have worked very closely with a fellow MSP member, the EU Commission, to try and really focus on collaboration between the two blocks in terms of value addition, of course, investment in the necessary skills as well. And we're working very closely as well with the IEA, which of course, as mentioned, that really, in order to meet the goals of that transition, including your own goals to increase, at least to invest 5 gigawatts every year in renewable energy, we will need a 6-fold increase from various minerals, including lithium, and of course, a 40-time increase for minerals such as nickel and cobalt as well. This is something Namibia cannot do alone, and really would love to do in partnership with like-minded nations and like-minded people, such as our brothers and sisters from South Korea, which is why we're very excited to have you here. So we look forward to a very fruitful engagement during the B2B and for myself. Thank you very much, and I'd love to welcome up the next speaker. Thank you.